Let's talk about creation and building things. Anything you want to build or create in life. I'm going to say this. When you are creating and building anything, you will need to learn how to transcend the present when creating the future, because ultimately, the ultimate fruit of your labor, the ultimate representation of your work can only be seen in the future and not currently in the present. But at the same time, the present is all there is, and you can only experience life in the present in multiple truths. You have to be able to hold multiple truths and have multiple perspective, meaning, yes, you have to know how to transcend the present whilst being in the present, because the present is ultimately what will create the future. What you do in the present, your habits, your routines, your mindset, your ways of being and living ultimately in the present will create the life you live in the present, and also your habits will create the life you live. Which is why I don't want to say when you manifest in something, because when it comes to manifestation, there's a tendency to actually not focus on practical things. I'm a very practical person. It could be my moon sign, which is Taurus, but let's that aside. I'm very practical. I can look at things, patterns, how things connect, how things work. So when it comes to your habits on a daily basis, that's very important when it pertains to what you're building and creating. When you're building and creating anything, you have to know how to transcend what you see in the present and focus. Teleport yourself to the future, meaning you have to know how to transcend beyond where you are now and focus on what's going to happen in the future. Like when you're building a muscle, for example, building a muscle, you go to the gym, you work out at home, and whatever it is you do, you cannot see the growth stages happening behind the scenes, beneath things. It's happening. Growth is occurring, but you cannot see the growth. And all of a sudden, things just pop. Things just happen in the future, sometime ahead. But things are happening right now in the present. But the work that you've put in, you only see the fruit of your work in the future. So when you're building and creating anything, whatever stage you're in at the moment or in life in general, you have to be able to transcend where you are in the present, meaning transcend what you can see physically, transcend things occurring on a daily basis, and focus on what will happen in the future. Because as long as you put it in the work when it pertains to growth, if you put it in the work of when you're growing something, ultimately things will happen. Yes, things don't always work out the way you want them to, but somehow they work out. If you're doing things that you're meant to be doing, if you're in your alignment and you're putting in work and you're doing things in alignment with things that are meant to work, ultimately growth will occur. But you have to have what I call patience. Patience with yourself, patience with the process. And yes, just because you work hard doesn't mean things will be successful. That's not what I'm saying here. Because hard work doesn't always equal success. But what I'm saying is, when there's a process of building and creating, it's like building a house. When you're building a house, ultimately the house will be built. That's known. That's what I'm saying. Apply that logic. You have all the instruments, all the equipment, all the things you need to build a house. You're setting the foundation, you're building and building. What happens one day? You put in the work, the house is built. That's the mindset to have. As long as you put it in the right plinth, in the right place, and put it in the work, and applying yourself, applying the right mindsets, applying the right emotions, applying the right aspects, so specific things you're doing, things will get built. So I'm looking at it from a foundation of building something and not just by manifesting something out of thin air. No, you're building something from the ground up, like building something. When you're building things, ultimately things you cannot see the ultimate growth of the full thing in the present, but in the future is where things come to full fruition. So when you're creating or building anything, whatever it is you're creating and building, apply to whatever you want to apply it to. You have to be able to transcend the present and go to the future, meaning focus on the outcome of things while simultaneously multiple truths being in the present. When you can do this, when you can transcend the present of what you can see physically and focus on the whole picture, that's what it is. Having a higher perspective, seeing things on a whole scale, a whole level, seeing the whole house when it's built. That's what it is. Transcend where you are now in the present and focus on the future and move ahead to the future. So when you're doing anything in life, don't be deterred, right? Don't be put off things that are important to you just because you aren't seeing results or you aren't seeing immediate results. But things are happening behind the scenes. Growth is occurring in so much of a form. It may not be in the way you want it to happen, but growth is occurring. It could be growth happening within you. It could be growth happening in your perspective. It could be growth happening, but growth is occurring. But apply the perspective of building a house right? There has to be built. Brick by brick, things are being laid. Things are occurring. The process is working. It's occurring. But the full manifestation may not be present to you until someday in the future, it all comes full circle. So I don't want to say manifesting because I'm very much into habits, patterns, things that you do. Yes, our mind is important. The mind is so important. Water your mind. What are the seeds, the ideas you plant in your mind, the thoughts you think, what you give your focus, attention, intention to is very important. Yes, definitely. Because if your mind is all not in the right space, you will not do the right things, meaning your action will follow. The way you're thinking will affect the thing you do. That's fact. Again, the perspective you have, the belief system you have, the way you've been brought up, the way you've been raised, the way you've been indoctrinated, or the way you think for yourself. In either way, however you think will affect how you perceive, how you see. It will affect what you do. It will affect how you operate, how you maneuver, how you interact with life. People, places, and things in your life. That's the truth. So mind's very important. Yes. But beyond your mind, you have to put in practical work, practical things, practical habits. What's your routine like? Your routine day on a daily basis. What steps are you taking? What things are you doing? Yes, take off the mind first, and then the habits you have should be in alignment with the mindset that's going to make things work out in your favor. Meaning, cultivate a mind that's actually going to help you, empower you to progress in the right direction, and progress in that direction, and have patience with the process, and at the same time transcend where you are now and focus on the whole picture. Again, your why. It could be a reason why you're building the thing. But beyond your why, focus on the outcome of your why. Because as long as you put it in the work of things that are important to you, and you're laying the brick step by step, you're progressing and moving forward, things will manifest in the future. It may not be happening right now, but things will come full circle. I'm going to keep emphasizing the example, the metaphor of a house. For some reason, that resonates with me very deeply, so it might help me in some shape or form. But metaphor of a house, a building, when bricks are being laid or designs are happening, all the workings, the interior, and everything's working, and things are being applied, practical things are being applied, routines are being applied. Ultimately, things will get built, and that's the mindset I want you to have. Transcend the present and focus on the wholeness of things, the whole picture. And yes, it's not about just the destination, it's about the present. But when I say the whole picture, I don't mean the destination. I mean the fruition. That's the word, fruition. Things come, yes, and fruition is plentiful. Things can become to fruition continuously, abundantly, because nature is abundant. But yes, there's ultimately a level of growth that can happen. That may not be happening now, but can happen in the future. When you're in alignment, when you're doing the things that you're meant to be doing, and putting in the right work in the right places, and keeping your mindset focused in the right direction, and keeping your emotions aligned in the right direction, and keeping your habits, patterns aligned in the right direction, and focusing on what's important, focusing on purpose. You have to have a clear purpose of what it is you're doing. That's very important, because without purpose, you going in whatever direction you're going in, it's not a clear direction. So know the purpose of what you're doing, and be patient with the process, and keep putting in the work, and transcend physicality of what you can see in the present by focusing on the whole picture. You can keep a whole picture in your mind. Whatever that applies to you in your mind, whatever that applies to you in your life, keep a whole picture of the thing, the wholeness of things. It could be a goal you have, right? Keep the wholeness of things and focus on that goal, and just keep putting in the work in the right space, in alignment, and doing the things you're meant to be doing in alignment. And ultimately, things will come full circle and things will come to fruition. But when you're building and creating things, I can emphasize this enough, you will need to learn how to transcend the present and move into the future of where the fruition is already occurred, meaning the wholeness of things is complete. Yes, things can be complete and still have growth, and still have, because growth is infinite. As long as we are alive as human beings, we're meant to grow and evolve. The cells in our body are constantly changing for a reason. We're meant to grow and grow and grow. So yes, even when you get to the wholeness of things, there is still a next level. It's a next level and next level. There's levels of things. There's levels to life. There's also new levels to reach. But there is a certain level of growth that can only occur in the future and not in the present. So focus on that path. Focus on that whole picture. Focus on that growth level, and keep progressing and keep moving forward. I hope this helps you in some way, shape, or form. Have a great day.